Kate's in the kitchen, and you're invited too. I'm Kate, and this is my kitchen. It's Asian American and Pacific Islander month in the United States, so tonight I'm going to make a dinner honoring the heritage of one of my mom's best friends. When I was young, my mom worked at the local hospital, and she made friends with all the doctors' wives. And so I grew up eating food from South Korea and Kuwait and Mexico, just all over the world. So today I'm going to do my twist on Sanghi Lee's Pergogi, and I'm going to do a Pergogi style steak. I have a 1/4 cup of soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of regular sugar, and I'm going to mix that in first. I've got a tablespoon of finely minced garlic. Now if you don't like it that garlicky, you can hold back, maybe a teaspoon and a half. I've got about a teaspoon of sesame oil. And then I've got 3 scallions that I chopped up, white and green parts. So this is our marinade. I'm also going to put a little bit of black pepper in there. Don't need any salt, there's plenty in the soy sauce. Okay, I've got 2 steaks in a Ziploc baggie, and I'm just going to pour this in. I'm going to zip it up and try and get most of the air out. And then just kind of massage this all into the steaks. And I'm going to put these in the refrigerator for at least an hour to marinate. I've had people tell me that's not the right name for this. It's called Bulgogi, which I've seen and I've eaten, but Sanghi called it Pergogi, so that's what I'm calling it. While the steak is marinating, I'm going to prep for a little side salad that she used to serve with it. I've got 2 carrots and 2 stalks of celery. I'm going to cut these into thirds. Now I don't know what Sanghi did before she came to the US, but I do know that she was a beast with a knife. She could take a piece of celery like this and have perfect little matchsticks. I am not that good, so I'm going to go a little more slowly. You want to get this as thin as you can. It's a cross between a salad and a garnish. You can see it's not that easy. And same with the carrots. You want to have it. Slice that into halves, and then you can get some very fine matchsticks. The only way I could do it as fast as Sanghi is with the help of a fast speed video trick. Also got a couple more scallions here that I'm going to slice on the diagonal. Now, there are 2 ways you can serve this. Sometimes Sanghi would stir fry the meat and we'd put it on a plate with some rice, and then we'd just make a little salad of this on the side. But sometimes we'd get the rice in a bowl, get some of the beef on there. Her chopping was much finer and more delicate than mine. You'd put some of that on there and then pour on some seasoned beef broth, and it would actually cook the celery, the carrots enough that they weren't hard anymore, but they still were crisp. She would put all of this on a huge platter, some carrots, green onions, celery, hard-boiled egg, and finely sliced octopus. And I think that's why you needed that hot broth, because it would cook the octopus. The dressing for the salad is very simple. I've got 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, and into that I'm going to put about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Now Sanghi used I'm not sure if it was a Korean mustard or Chinese hot mustard, but that's a little too hot for my family's taste, so I'm going to stay away from that. and about a teaspoon of honey. Now you can adjust these if you want it hotter, if you want it sweeter or less sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and mix that up. And the mustard brings a lot of flavor, a little bit of sharpness, but it also helps us to emulsify. I just want to make sure I get all that honey mixed in. I've got a half a teaspoon of sesame oil. And I'm going to give it a little bit of cracked pepper. And a tad of salt. Don't need a lot of salt because this is going to go with the salad and with the pergogi, which has a good amount of sodium from the soy sauce. So mine is a miniature version of what Sang-hee would do. So you just put a few, you can make a salad on the side, or you can put this on top of your rice and then pour the dressing over it, or pour the hot broth. You would season the broth with some ginger, some garlic, some scallions, and some black pepper. So you can tweak this to make it your own dish. There you have it, our beautiful little side salad or garnish. I rough chopped 2 hard-boiled eggs as well. And I'm just going to put this in the refrigerator until it's time to eat. Just a little tip. I wrapped the eggs, the dressing, and the scallions separately because I don't want all these flavors to overtake each other yet or overtake everything that I have in the refrigerator. And now I'm going to cover the whole thing, oops, missed it, with plastic and put it in the fridge. I've got 1 bag, which is about 1.5 pounds of the baby potatoes. I'm going to cut these in half. If you find any that have a little bad spot on them, just trim it off. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all these up. I've got a large skillet heating up. I've got about 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. You can also use grapeseed oil. Just want to let that heat up. I'm going to place the potato cut side down in the pan. You want to get these in 1 layer. If your pan is not big enough, just do 2 batches. So I got just a little over half my potatoes in. I'm going to cook these for 5 to 6 minutes until the cut side down in the oil turns a nice golden brown and crispy. I do have them on medium-high heat, so don't walk away. I'm going to cook the rest of the potatoes. You can see I still have most of the oil left, and it's quite hot, so be careful as you're putting them in. I did turn the burner off while I'm putting these in. I'm going to mix them around just a bit to make sure they all got oil on the bottom. I did not add any extra oil to the pan, and another 5 minutes on medium-high heat. It's time to make the sauce for our potatoes. I've got about a teaspoon of gochujang. Now, my original recipe calls for 1 to 2 tablespoons, but you all know my family isn't super into spice. 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. You got to be careful with sesame oil, it can really take over a dish. 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. Mix that up quick. I've got about a half a tablespoon of minced garlic. Now the garlic and the gochujang, you can go more or less depending on how hot or how garlicky you want it. Then I've got the juice of 1 lime. I'm just going to mix that all up, and we're ready to continue with the potatoes. The potatoes are nice and crispy, but they are not by any means cooked all the way through. So the next step is we're going to coat them in the sauce and put them back in the saucepan and cook them at a simmer until they're done and the sauce has become almost a sticky glaze. Here's our crisped up potatoes. I'm going to give our sauce a little stir here. I'm going to pour it over the potatoes and toss them to make sure they're all coated. We're going to put them back into the frying pan on medium-low heat. Get all that delicious sauce out of there. And then we're going to cover them and cook them for about 8 to 10 minutes until they're tender and cooked all the way through. I'm turning these now so I get a little bit of crispness on the bottom, but I also want to make sure everything's fully coated in the gochujang sauce. So you can see that the bottoms are nice and coated. I want to flip them and get the tops coated as well. I'm going to cover them back up and let them cook the remaining time. It's been 10 minutes. I'm going to see how tender these are, if they're done or not. No, they need just maybe 2 more minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. At this point, if your liquid's completely gone down, you may want to add just a splash of water because we don't want the potatoes to stick to the pan. But I added just a very little bit. Stir that up. They're looking good. Cover back on. It's been another 2 minutes. I'm going to give these a check. Okay, they're much better. I'm going to do the last 2 minutes with the lid off. I allowed the steaks to marinate for a couple of hours, and then I took them out of the bag and I scraped off as much of the scallions and the garlic as I could for 2 reasons. Number 1, I don't want that to burn on the grill, but number 2, I want it to go into the sauce. I took the rest of the marinating liquid, put it in a saucepan. It's probably ½ cup. And I'm going to add about a ¼ cup of low sodium beef stock. And I'm just going to cook this till it reduces down to a thick sauce that we can pour over our steaks when they're done. Here's our steaks ready to go onto the grill. There we have our Pergogi style steak, surrounded by our sweet and sticky gochujang potatoes and accompanied by the salad/garnish plate. Happy Asian Pacific Islander Month. Enjoy.